Welcome back, guys. This is the GSL Code A. We're going into our final best of 5 today. It's going to be MMA against YongHwa.
It's going to be a fun series, I think. You know, I would have to give the advantage here slightly to MMA. He's been looking really good, especially in GSL. You know, not even outside of his Pro League stuff, but in individual leagues, he really seems to shine.
And non-Korean tournaments as well. MMA has been somebody who has been top tier for a long time. For a little bit, though, I personally was saying that, you know, I think he had fallen off. This is about a year and a half ago, but,
Wow.
I mean, he's in great form now, so it'll be tough. YongHwa is a bit more of the tragic hero of the GSL.
Yeah. It's, I'm sure there's some people out there who get a kind of, you know, weird enjoyment out of seeing this guy fall every single time.
Well, that's sad. I mean, I always feel a little bit like a little tear comes down my face when I see YongHwa lose because he's been in so many GSLs. He was considered the best Protoss when you'd interview a lot of the players way back when. They'd say he's really good. He's a great training partner. He understands the game so well. He was inventing a lot of the builds, but when it came to a televised match, he just didn't have it, you know?
Yeah.
He wasn't able to pull off whatever he was, you know, making work back in the training house.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but let's see what he can do here up against MMA. Recently, his PvP has been quite nice, but unfortunately, it's a Terran here in the best of 5.
I mean, MMA, somebody who's won a GSL Code S. I mean, we've had a lot of them, so I feel like every other game we're casting, I'm like, yeah, this guy is also once the best player, but it's true. I think we're on 28 seasons now of GSL.
It's pretty insane.
So we're almost at the point where you can pretty much have each player be a champion. We get like 4 more of these.
Almost.
You can have,
Almost.
Yeah. It filled up with GSL Code S Champions. MMA, fantastic micro. He was mentored by Slayer's Boxer himself. And, yep, he's come back to Korea. You know, he's planted his roots back over here. And he is hungry to move on to that, you know, coveted GSL Code S position.
Yeah, I feel like just him being over here for this amount of time, you know, in Korea, not anywhere else, practicing with the best of the best. I think he's going to be in great shape coming in today. I think we're going to see some fantastic games. MMA, also one thing about his TvP is he's not scared to go late game, as a lot of other Terrans are and were. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of fun, you know, longer games. YongHwa also not really scared of that either. Of course, from the Protoss position, not too hard to see out of a lot of Protosses.
Here is YongHwa. YongHwa, I've seen this guy for so many years playing. He's a great player, but you know, when it comes to tournament results, I mean, he's outshined by people like Yoda even, you know?
Yeah, definitely. You guys can see his results there. Round of 32, round of 48. Lost in the 5th game of that best of 5 series in the last season. And here he is again. Let's see if he can do a bit better this time. Unfortunately, he's got a very hard opponent up ahead of him in MMA.
Our map lineup is going to be Echo, Cactus Valley, Expedition Lost, Coda, and Bonnie Research Station.
You guys actually don't have Deadwing anymore. Just realized that. Replaced there by Terraform. Seems like MMA might be the one of these 2 players who's like, oh, I just don't know this map. I don't want to play on it. YongHwa, Iron Fortress.
Yeah,
very good map.
A lot actually in tournaments is whenever we have a new map, all the players just ban it.
Yeah, well, it happened with Iron Fortress for so long. Over here, you know.
Well, I think one of the things that's nice, one of the things that's nice about what we've done here now in the GSL is we introduce a lot of new maps at once, so it forces, you know, a bit more flavor out of the games here.
Yeah. No, I'm loving it. I actually, you know, sorry for the pro gamers who have to constantly, you know, be ready for all these different maps, but it makes for really fun games.
It does. It does. And I mean, you get to see how the races operate on different maps as well. So that's really exciting here. Our first map is going to be Echo. Both MMA and YongHwa have joined the game. The countdown timer has started up. It's a best of 5. The winner is going to get that final slot here today for the GSL Code A. So guys, tell your friends to tune in. I think this is probably going to be the best matchup we have here today.
The closest one for sure.
I think
and these guys are pretty high level as well, so I'm really looking forward to this one the entire night. Here we go. About to jump into this one right now.
And it's now loaded up. Let's do this. MMA against YongHwa in the GSL Code A.
You're just a snake, slipping around behind my back. You're just a snake, you let me down.
In the upper left, in the red, he is
Svenu MMA.
in the bottom right, in the blue, he is
MVP YongHwa.
Both of these guys very handsome pro gamers.
They are.
Yeah.
Sharp-looking dudes, man. Let's see what kind of strat YongHwa is going to go for here. You know, I think YongHwa, one of his biggest issues is actually the execution of whatever he's trying to do.
I think also his multitasking is not the best. At times.
he's had a couple moments, you know, where like he just loses a war prism or something.
Yeah. I think overall he's kind of he falls on like the slow side of pro gamers. You know, he loves to go for just a straight up Colossus.
Oh, I think you're correct. I think even his APM is a little bit low. And by the way, guys, a lot of people overhype APM. I think this is like, I even feel like I'm partially at fault in this when I was casting Brood War. I tried to, because a lot of people like look at a game like this. This is of course back when it wasn't popular in the West, but you know, if you use a phrase like he's got 300 actions per minute, that's something that, you know, a non-gamer can like be, you know, they can go, wow, cool,
Yeah.
but
He does 300 things every minute.
every minute, and then you look at it, it's like, well, in truth, that, you know, for parts of this, you only need like 17 actions a minute,
Yeah.
realistically. But what they're doing is they're doing all these actions over and over and over again, spamming. And you know, as the game picks up, yes, you do need to have high APM, but it's not everything.
Yeah. It's very true. YongHwa going for this this style. It's been getting a bit more popular. You get the two gases very early and slowly fill them up. MMA going to be going for this early scout.
Interesting, he's going to scout like this and then scout with a Reaper too. I guess he really wants to just check and make sure there's nothing weird headed his way. No proxies, no shenanigans, nothing like that. Reactor starting here and a command center. And it looks like he might be able to get down here, possibly block the sixes. No.
Ooh, very close. With that Reaper coming along, I would have loved to see him just throw down an engineering bay. We've been seeing some of the best do it pretty consistently nowadays. They're just like all the time. It just comes down every single time. It's so annoying for the Protoss to actually deal with it. And for the Terran, you know, you're just losing not that many minerals. And it really throws the Protoss off in their build.
Yeah, the Reaper's going to come around now. This is all very standard stuff.
Ooh.
And we got a command center third starting now, so this is going to be some pretty heavy econ play here from MMA. Now, if YongHwa doesn't detect this right away, there's not a lot Protoss can do to punish it, and it can actually give him a pretty big lead. Of course, if YongHwa decides to do some kind of timing attack, I mean, this is going to be an opportune moment to punish that.
We've been seeing this more often. Actually, I was casting some games yesterday with Moonglade where we saw this out of a Terran. I forget exactly who it was, but it was on this map as well. And on Vani Research Station, just on these big two-player maps where it's a pretty big expanse in the middle, and it's going to be hard for the Protoss really to punish it, as well as, you know, just Protoss these days being pretty passive overall, unless they go for that blink first and try to put on some pressure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there was a period, and I don't even know if it was just Protoss, maybe it was just MC, was always able to just punch his way into a Terran's base. And do a lot of damage. It's not as much the case anymore. But, you know, with the Blink builds, although I think some of our newer maps are not as friendly towards Blink all-ins.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw that on Terraform. There's that little lip. You know, there is a spot to blink in, but blinking out and, you know, getting out of the base is not the easiest thing in the world. And I would have to say that this is also some good studying by MMA. Looking at the play style of YongHwa, he loves to do this against Terran, just play very passive, get up a bunch of observers, very range style.
Sorry, I didn't mean to run over you there. I actually think that YongHwa is like almost being hard countered already by this build. By the way, YongHwa's been doing this build off and on for years. It's not bad. Well, actually, this is exactly it now that I'm seeing the robotics bay. Never mind. Sorry, YongHwa. I thought he was going to go for more gates after this and, you know, and play safe, but he's going to go for quick Colossus. Still, though, you know, is this going to be enough to punish 3 command centers, dropping mules, making SCVs? I'm not sure, man. I mean, already it's, what, about a 5-worker lead, 6-worker lead, and that's not going to slow down now.
He's also got 3 mules pumping consistently. It's a huge deal for the Terran to be able to get this out. Usually they do follow up with this many racks just to be safe. And I think this is going to be the first time YongHwa's even going to see it.
Yeah, well,
I don't even know if he just saw it.
He did see it. We just saw it. Barely the observer went by there. But that's why this build is good against Protoss. Is Protoss actually can't check what you're doing until the observer's out.
Yeah, that definitely is a big part of it. And it looks like YongHwa's just going to bite the bullet. It's been up for too long. He's just going to tech up, try to get double upgrades, and go to the later game. Not a bad idea.
And so the factory's starting up here. Now, when you get a lot of barracks like that, you're going to have a more bulky army, but you are getting your medevacs a little bit later. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much is going to impact in this case. I guess we'd have to really look at the map here, right? Because if you look at the map, it does have a lot of these ramps, which can kind of force your army to not have a good surround. So Colossus might be stronger than normal on this map. Unlike some of the other maps we had where it's big, open expanses, then even if you have a lot of Colossus, you can get surrounded. Combat Shield's about to finish. Stim was, Stim also about to finish, excuse me.
Yeah. You basically have to go for this kind of heavy barracks play as the Terran behind this kind of fast 3C build, because if the Protoss goes blank, you're
so dead. Then again, if they don't go blank, I mean, I guess you finished most of the tech tree pretty easily. Well, it's not clear right now if MMA is actually aware that the gateways are really all just now finishing.
Yeah, YongHwa's going for an interesting style. He's still making probes, so I think he is just going to take a later third base, but at the same time, like, it's going to come so late. He's getting his production up way before then. I would have loved him to just go for that third base a bit earlier. Maybe he thought he couldn't defend it in a way. I don't know.
I'm not sure. He's going to open up this area over here with the debris, gun down those rocks. Nicely done. YongHwa still powering on 2 bases. Thermal Lance is finishing along with Blink soon. +1 attack, +1 armor. And can you actually check on the preview PC, Valdez? How many Colossus does he have now?
He's got 2.
He's got 2, okay. And a third one is not far away from popping out here.
But he's going to have a nice little timing coming in here. He's not making any more probes.
Well, with the build that MMA did, he's not going to have Vikings. He doesn't have, the straight-up answer for Colossus. So I think, unless I'm mistaken, later on here, YongHwa just pushes and the lasers from the Colossus just do too much damage.
Well, I don't know. We've been seeing a very Marauder style, Marauder-heavy style come out of Maru specifically, and other Terrans have been picking up on it. We see even MMA going for so many Marauders. Finally, now he's going to be adding in more Marines, more heavy there. But I don't know about this play from YongHwa, to be honest. It's just like overly safe against what MMA is doing. I think he could have taken that third base much earlier.
MMA is basically ahead, right? I mean, he's got more workers. YongHwa couldn't punish it, but I don't know. This might be a game that's just going to go really, really late. We'll have to see when the Colossus and the rest of the Terran army engage each other. Who's dealing damage where. Not any Vikings out, or at least almost no Vikings out. And on this map, I think Vikings are better against Colossus than on most other maps. So, and as you can see, I mean, Terran doesn't really have enough open area to really punish that. I mean, the center of this map is like this diamond elevated plateau with a hole in the middle of it. So, I mean, really, pretty much nowhere in this map can you get an easy surround.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard. Maybe down in between the second and third bases, but Protoss can set up a pretty good concave there regardless. I don't know. This is going to go longer for sure. It's going to be very hard for MMA to punish that third base on this map, especially with the, I think it's the rock tower over at the third base. You can defend it pretty nicely. And, MMA at the same time, he's pretty confident in that later game too, so I don't think he's going to be too unhappy about this situation.
No. Well, one thing MMA does have is mobility's on his side here. This map, you can cover 3 bases pretty easily, but 4, especially for Protoss, I think against a Terran with a lot of medevacs flying around, you're going to be punished. There's a lot that you can do here to really just get the Protoss out of position. And a lot of times, even if you have an inferior army, if you get the Colossi out of position, like they're trying to rotate to another base, you can just kill them right there too.
Yeah. We do see MMA committing so heavily to these Vikings. He's only got 4 medevacs in the air. You know, we were talking about how the tech is really delayed that starport.
Yeah.
The mid-game dropping never really came through. What he's got is just a really, really strong army, just straight up, with that, you know, fantastic economy.
Oh, nice kiting here. Goes in and gets that mothership core. Oh! And we have the time warps coming down here, but I mean, MMA just, you know, kind of maneuvers out of that. Yep. Scanning now, seeing if there's an observer. Smart move there by MMA. And he gives something again. The Vikings weren't attacking initially. And this is a huge number of Vikings.
Yeah, it really is. But at the same time, many stalkers on the ground, but the engagements here from YongHwa are just not very good, to be honest. MMA has these fights in his control every single time.
See how the Colossi are just kind of over here on the left side, but the Stalkers can't quite cover them? I mean, it's another moment Vikings can punish you. And you can see the Stalkers actually blinking underneath those Vikings. Now, all these Colossi have been damaged. I want to point this out. Had you clicked that properly, they would probably all be gone, but because of misclicking there with MMA on the, with the Vikings, excuse me, they've done way more damage. So this actually will allow YongHwa to drive MMA back, but definitely some miscontrol there from MMA. In fact, YongHwa might just keep doing this. He might just win this game because of that.
He has so many gateways powered up at this point in time. It's pretty ridiculous the amount of reinforcing power he's got.
Third Colossus coming up here too.
Also, the upgrades. You just have to come back to those once again. He's on 2-2. MMAs were behind for a very long time. And at the end of it all, it looks like YongHwa actually in a very big lead at this point in time.
YongHwa backs up. I actually think YongHwa should just go for it. I think he's making a mistake. I think he's being too cautious.
There's only 4 Vikings in the air to 4 Colossi.
But the problem is that the Vikings are going to come out and race either 3 or 4, depending on if the starport had the second one had also a reactor on it. So you need to do this like right now. Like you actually cannot wait on this. The angling here is good too. Look at the Terran buildings. Like everything's bunched up over there.
Looks like YongHwa's just waiting for more warp-ins over and over. He's even getting a warp prism here. But here we go. MMA is going to try to punish this. So many charged zealots coming out here, but a nice concave for MMA at the same time.
And the attack continues onward. It looks like MMA's army is getting chewed apart. The zealots swarming the Marines like bees right now, and the Vikings is trying to gun down that. That's going to be a GG. Wow. That was a throw, man. That was a sick throw. I mean, I think he could have done much better back there.
Yeah, it's really tough to
say. He didn't target down the Colossi properly.
Yeah, the targeting there was pretty
The Vikings are always in a bad position. YongHwa, I don't like to be too hard on these guys, but in truth, YongHwa, the way he was engaging a lot of times there, he was letting the Colossi be in the middle of that area where the Stalkers can't go up and down the ramp. There was like a little, I don't know what you call it, a thing there that was it was blocking it. But he never actually. It's weird, just MMA didn't target fire that. We end that battle. There was 2 red HP Colossi and then 1 like orange HP Colossus.
Once again, and I've said it before, but if that were Maru, all those Colossi would have been dead.
Yeah, exactly.
He would have had like a small troop of, pretty much only Marauders coming in from behind. MMA tried to do that, but YongHwa at the same time, he did have a lot of very heavily upgraded gateway units, like huge warp-ins, great reinforcing potential. The fight lasted so long as well that, MMA wasn't really able to just crush the army in one go. He allowed YongHwa to get so many more warp-ins, so many more units to help reinforce those weak Colossi that eventually in the long fight, YongHwa was able to pull it through.
Yeah, well, it's almost like that battle happened and YongHwa said, all right, I guess I can probably keep pushing you. YongHwa was even being super cautious even as he pushed in. But, hey, that's that. Now it's a 1-0 lead here for YongHwa. Maybe YongHwa can crush MMA GSL Code S Champion on his entry into the GSL Code S.
Yeah, kind of not what we were expecting there in that first game, but YongHwa coming in pretty strong today. Very safe style, but it seems to be good so far against MMA, so let's see if we can keep it up. Very big map. Now we got Cactus Valley here for game number 2.
Certainly could have a long game here. Let's see what they do. Choose to open up with YongHwa, probably the least cheesy player that we have. less cheesy than Rain, I think, even. But MMA, he's done some crazy stuff that happened here, too. In the upper left, in the red, mentored by Slayer's Boxer.
Spenu MMA.
In the upper right, in the blue, he is
MVP YongHwa.
So on this map, what are you feeling? Do you think this favors YongHwa here or MMA?
Well, okay, let's just go ahead and break the map down. First of all, third base here, very pokeable for both sides.
Yeah.
That being said, both races, Terran and Protoss, can do two-base powering builds. Still, though, even at the highest level of StarCraft, we do see players not break out of the mold that their current... You know, the map actually... Okay, hold on. I think I got something that's going to sound smart if I can say this right. Just give me a second.
Get
okay.
it out, Tasteless.
So, map first, that shapes meta. But it's always the maps before, the old maps that are shaping the meta. Then new maps eventually come out, but we'll still see some builds that are like the old meta
Yeah.
being used on a map that doesn't apply.
Just because they were so solid, and they're trying to
Yeah.
use them on the new maps regardless.
I mean, think about it like this. And you can kind of see a theme here with some of the maps that have been introduced. These maps, it looks like right now with map making, we're really experimenting on making the third base difficult to acquire. Last year, 2 years ago, the maps were pretty much designed so that you could never not get a third base. Now,
In a way.
some people might say one's better than the other, but really there is no good or bad here. You just have to change the way the game's played, and I like that, but to kind of try to answer your question, it just depends on if they approach the map the way the map is. We've seen so many good two-base Protoss builds. We've seen tons of good two-base Terran builds. A lot of people might say, well, you know, the two-base Protoss builds are stronger than the two-base Terran builds. Well, regardless, Terran is still going to have an easier time poking a third base on this map anyways, the Protoss' standpoint. So, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Did I sound really smart back there when I was
I was really
Were you
enjoying
like
that.
really wowed?
Yeah.
Were you like gonna like?
I'm just sitting here in shocked, actually.
Are you gonna be like late at night, you know, having pillow talk with a girlfriend, being like, Nick blew my mind with this knowledge. It's like he's so smart and handsome.
Oh, man. Going back to what you were saying about YongHwa not being cheesy, very greedy build coming out of MMA. He's playing the map, as you were saying. He's really going with that, and I don't think YongHwa is really going to punish him for it. To be honest,
so.
He's not the Protoss that's going to say, "Oh, you're being greedy. Well, you're going to die."
It's funny because if we go back to the older maps in StarCraft II, we had what was it? Steps of War was the map, and I mean this map. Granted, we didn't know at the time when StarCraft II was out, but I mean this map was just such a joke because it was so small. And that was when we started actually figuring out, okay, a StarCraft II map has to be somewhat a certain relative size for the games to be playable for Zerg at least. So now we got a lot of these big maps, but you know, we're still kind of experimenting in the game with you know, spacing expansions out differently, making different access points for that.
Well, MMA here looking to go for the Widowmine drops after the CC first. I think it's a pretty good map and pretty good positions as well for MMA because he's going to be able to just boost his medevac straight into the main. YongHwa, in turn, is going for a Dark Shrine. Really looking to punish MMA here, but I'm not sure if it's going to work out.
Yeah. Kind of funny. This looks exactly like what YongHwa would probably do after he wins game one. Because YongHwa actually uses DT builds more than most pro gamers. Actually, I'd say much more. When
that's
you really
like the one
look at
build that's non-standard that YongHwa will actually do.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, there's a reason why DTs are not as popular early game, especially in StarCraft 2. StarCraft 1, they were actually great. It was like you could use a DT build in pretty much every matchup, one way or another, and they were pretty good, kind of staple unit, good tactical unit. But the way just the way StarCraft II is as a game, it's much tougher to actually, if they know DTs are coming, they detect it, or they just stop it, there's not a lot you can really do to punish them further, right? They just sort of DT stay outside your base, and then I guess you morph it into an Archon, and then, you know, Terran has a bunch of Marines and Marauders, they stim and they kill the Archon.
And that's it.
And yeah, I mean, that's it, right?
That's the end of the story.
That's all she wrote.
Here comes the first drop.
Widowmine drop here. And we do not see probes moving.
Oh, man.
Oh!
They're all going to bunch up. Not the best targeting there on that second one. Here come the DTs, but there's already a missile turret in there.
Oh, my God. They actually both got by.
Wow. One of them is very weak. But at the same time, I'm not sure if he's got any missile turrets.
Look at the spacing here. You normally want to keep the DTs separated so that it's 2 scans instead of 1. Because 2 scans is still 2 mules, right? Oh, man. He just barely got that in time before the next Widowmine hit got off.
That was unbelievably close. At the same time, it looks like this DT should be able to get a little bit of damage, but at the end of it all, it's just going to be worth it.
Yeah, that's the problem with DTs for StarCraft II is they're actually much better in the late game when, you know, Terran has a bunch of bases. When it's just 2 bases like this, I mean, how hard, even if you're not like a, you know, pro player, it's just not hard to, you know, deflect it.
Especially if you're playing safe like MMA did.
See, and when DTs were better in Brood War, what would happen is Terran had to go mech, so they had to make vultures and tanks. And you can't get a lot of those early, right? So DTs could actually run around and, you know, hit turrets and kill SCVs. Plus, those can't attack air either. So if you have a shuttle, you just pick them up and you drop them somewhere where there aren't mines and stuff like that. So I mean, it was much better. It's sort of like a relic. We see builds like this used, but yeah, I don't think YongHwa should have gone with a strat like this. I think he won game 1 due to MMA making a mistake, and I think in game 2, I don't know if this is really the best build to use. You know, I don't think it's. Oh my God, they just pass each other.
Flying by in the night. There's even an observer there.
Yeah,
waiting, so he knows.
Oh man, I think YongHwa, though, a little bit too hungry there, actually showed his stalkers before the drop came in. He ran right up, tried to gun it down. I think in a moment like that, you want to stay back and let the medevac come in, and then right when it starts to unload, you jump on it.
It's also kind of hard, too, because Blink wasn't finished.
Yeah,
because of
that's
this
true.
DT build.
That's a good point.
At the same time, you got to be careful with how hungry you get trying to take out those drops.
Now,
and with the build that YongHwa did go for, it is going to delay his Colossi as well. So he's not nearly going to have as strong as of an army as he did in the last game. He's still going to have the double upgrade coming in here, but not quite the same army. Yeah,
not quite. He's still powering here on 2 bases. He's getting more gateways, so his production's getting pretty good here. In this phase of the game, you know, Terran gets to roam around the map pretty freely. But I mean, when it's Protoss on 2 bases, it's not really easy to punish, or, you know, to be punished, right? I mean, there's just not a lot of locations you have to defend, right? So
yeah.
So here's YongHwa actually going to try to push out here. Is MMA actually going to? He's just doing a contain, right? Is he actually going to do this? Well, let's see if this works out, actually. He's got a good amount, but, you know, the force fields go down. I guess he didn't gun down that first Colossus.
That is a pretty awesome engage from MMA.
I am so surprised that happened. Now, obviously, yes, he killed the Colossus, but if the Protoss just throws the force fields down, then it's a loss for Terran, right?
He messed up his force fields way too late.
So ballsy of him to do that. Just like instantly come in there, and now MMA is going to go ahead and drop over here. And again, the controller from MMA pretty good, but the number of Protoss units just overwhelming. And he can actually blink underneath this, and oh my God! Actually, all 4 of those survive.
Yeah,
I cannot believe. Did Blizzard change the HP on medevacs? Wow. You know, MMA though, he's still trying to just do damage here. You know, one of the reasons, because, you know, we were talking about this earlier, you know, Protoss should stay on 2 base, and Protoss has, but this is not the kind of build that's going to be strongest on 2 base. You go DTs into Colossus, then you have your gateways. You don't have a big army then.
Yeah.
Whereas MMA has gone for, you can see it's very basic units. It's Marines, Marauders, it's Medevacs. So, you know, even though we see it's 2-base Protoss, it's not the kind of 2-base Protoss. That still might be enough, though, to go ahead and push back here. MMA shouldn't have attacked in there with that drop.
Some nice Widowmine hits there, but they will now be cleaned up. And MMA looking to switch up the style here on this map. I like it. He's not making any Vikings. I think he made one.
Yeah, just now getting one here.
But, you know, looking to go for more, you know, Widowmines just straight up fighting, trying to trade with these Colossi. But I think he needs to do more of that trading.
Oh, he's picking up now. He's going to do a drop over here in the upper right. Now, the army is south, about two screens below this. Can he get up here in time, though? Also, note, you know, this is YongHwa moving his army like this again. It's a little bit spread out. Some of the Colossi are a little bit vulnerable. Now, he picks back up and moves out. Now, while we're seeing this, you know, these armies jump around each other on the map, let's remember, Protoss does not have a third base. Still.
That's pretty insane, in fact.
And MMA is ahead in supply. But, you know, with 4 Colossi, maybe he could just come down here and bludgeon his opponent. Maybe he doesn't need economics on his side if he's got, you know, a pretty scary army.
Yeah, let's see what he's able to do here. Not too many force fields, but
yeah, it's kind of a 3 positions you can be attacked from here. But I like the movement here. Okay, he's actually going to chase the army. This is pretty smart. He can actually. Well, is this army just going to keep running south?
Looks like it, but how long they can they actually run? I mean,
there's no
so many Blink
here.
Stalkers.
Actually, this might cost him the game. He has no way to pick up this army and just run.
And he's not stimming either. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's the Medevacs.
He took so many losses.
Looked really weird.
Yeah.
That had to be a bad hotkey setup, man. There's just no Medevacs for that army.
It looks like he was trying to go for a surround on YongHwa. You know, come from those 3 directions you were talking about, but not really quite working out.
Ooh, nice blinking, dodging the mine.
Now YongHwa looking for that fight.
You know, honestly, YongHwa needs to try to end this game right now. Okay, he's coming in here.
Time warps.
Beautiful. The Zealots now coming up here, soaking the damage. The Vikings over here at the top, dealing some damage to the Colossi. It looks like he shift-clicked it correctly, but there are so many Marines, Marauders, SCVs being pulled here as well. The army gets destroyed. You know, this is why, you know, powering on 2 bases is strong, but if your opponent gets a 3rd base, you have to then respond with your own base. This game has gone on for too long. And, you know, you can see even right now, YongHwa just now, the Nexus started. There it is. This is too late.
I don't think he's going to be able to hold that.
Yeah, like, it's just too late. And I think Terran just comes in here and punishes this. I think he actually closes the game out.
There's only Blink Stalkers here. You know, a couple Zealots, some Sentries, but he's just going to have to turtle on 2 base and just get farther and farther behind. I like this little harassing force going towards the 3rd base of MMA right now, but
yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Yeah.
So these force fields, this is nice, right? But there are just too many Marines, Marauders. You know, and Stalkers alone don't do enough damage. So we should be seeing GG tapped out here, and this will bring us into game number 3 here in this series.
MMA bringing this to a tie game. Looking much better in that game, to be honest. But YongHwa, again, kind of this very safe style, coming back to bite him this time. Not looking as solid as he did in the first game.
MMA had some weird plays there early on. Remember that drop? I mean, that was just the one in the main. He lost so much there. YongHwa doesn't seem to always have the response necessary. Like that last game. It was actually fine to push out and attack, but he had to get a 3rd no matter what. It had been too late.
Yeah, MMA had that 3rd base for, what, like 3-4 minutes already?
You know,
so
YongHwa's build was just not good. I do not like DTs on that map into Colossus, into your gateways later. I think YongHwa completely analyzed the map wrong.
Yeah, I think on that map you just try to take that 3rd base, defend on those bases.
Yeah, I think you power 2 base with you need meat, you need bulk there, you need Zealots, you need Stalkers, you need Sentries. Then you start to attack on the Colossus.
Maybe he was just trying to put on the aggression because the drops on that map can be a little bit scary. You know, you can't punish the 3rd base as you drop the main. It's pretty spread out, those 3 bases.
Yeah.
But didn't quite work out for him in that game, at least.
We're now going to the map Expedition Lost. It's 1-1 right now in this best of 5. We've seen some hiccups here from both players. I mean, the pressure's really on. The winner does go on to the Code S tournament, so and that will be the last Code S tournament of the year. So let's see what happens. Game number 3 is loading up. With me is Valdez. I'm Tasteless. This is the GSL Code A. In the upper right, in the red, former GSL Code S champion. He is
Spenu MMA.
And in the bottom left, in the blue,
MVP YongHwa.
a lot of pressure on both of these guys here. They've had a lot of time to analyze each other and prepare for this. And, you know, I was talking a little bit about this yesterday, but a best of 5, there's so much more to it than a best of 3.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more opportunity to try to read your opponent, to throw out false information, to try a risky strategy. And if you're a player who's pretty dynamic and has a lot of ways to approach the game, has a lot of ways to approach the game, you can really show off what you got.
Yeah, which is why YongHwa does go for that build, but as you said before, kind of a bit of a dated strategy. You're really relying on the Terran to not play safe.
Make a mistake. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, I hope he doesn't make turrets. Here
Yeah,
I go.
and I think it's the wrong way to play StarCraft. If you play this game, and everything you're doing is premised off your opponent not being solid, not crossing his T's and dotting his I's. I mean, you are making a huge, I think, risk. I think
it's a big risk.
You can gamble from time to time, but I think versus your opponent not doing a certain build, that's different than your opponent just not being on top of, like, for instance, his army or,
Well, think about some of
defense.
the top Protosses here, like even Rain or Hero or Classic. When's the last time you saw them go for a D2 build? Like, I don't really remember. These guys are playing against
people just don't use it as much anymore.
I mean, Hero does the same build every single game, and he still finds success. He goes blink into Robo and just plays straight up late game PvT, gets double forwards.
But YongHwa's been in love with doing Dark Templar builds for a long time. And did he see that? Oh, no way.
He should have.
He didn't see the probe up there? Yeah, he's just sending his Reaper right out here.
It's a bit unfortunate. So that probe can just sit back there for so long. MMA is going to have no idea. And
he could actually go kill the SCV if he wanted to, make it a command center.
Yeah, you could definitely put pressure on like that. I think he may just save it for the scout, though.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. That's probably better. I got greedy.
You got greedy?
Like, I'm going to slow his command center down by 5 seconds.
Ooh, nice snipe on a probe. But, oh, man. The long arm of the probes went around.
Citizen's arrest right there.
The death hug.
Well, you are not supposed to lose that Reaper. The entire strategy that Terran's doing is sort of hinged on having that Reaper to check what the other player's doing. He just lost it. So, I mean, MMA is completely and totally in the dark.
MMA
and that probe actually got in there. This probe is sneaking around in his main.
Wait, the probe walked up to the racks, and he's like, okay, you're going for this build with the reactor. You're getting your factory, maybe some Hellions, maybe just a lot of Marines, And then the probe just walked away, and MMA still doesn't know. He still doesn't know.
I don't actually get to cast stuff like this very often. This probe, he could make a... Oh, I don't know if it's even good. Okay, he could make a pylon in his base and just warp units in.
Warp in some sentries, force field the ramp.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Snipe the medevacs. Okay, there we go,
never mind.
finally.
Warping sentries and block there. That's so funny.
Oh, man. But this probe knows everything. He gets the full scout. This isn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, this is absolutely never supposed to happen. And what's weird is, I mean, at least the blip on the mini-map that would have showed up, you would have seen the probe go in there. I don't know. I think MMA not quite in focus here.
And I think we may just see Phoenixes out of YongHwa. I think an Oracle is just going to be too risky.
You called it right. He's making Phoenixes now.
Because you go in there with your Oracle, it gets knocked down by a Widowmine, you're like, oh.
Yeah. Now, look here. He's going to make the Phoenixes, but he's not rallying them to the Terran's base. He's going to pool up a good number of them, and he's probably hoping that if MMA is making a medevac, so he wants to do a drop over here in the main. If he tries to do that, he's going to get blindsided right into those Phoenixes that YongHwa's got, and he just shoots him down, no problem. I think YongHwa's playing this right. If I was in YongHwa's spot, I would have gotten way greedy and like made pylons in the base, and then I would have done my real strategy.
Try to make like 4 gateways, and the pylon gets killed. You're like, oh, well,
it's too bad. I'm like, but I would have looked really cool on TV if I had done that.
Guess I now just got to try to kill him.
Guess I got to wait next year for Code A again instead of using the builds I practiced every day all day.
So the Phoenixes, even if they don't snipe the medevac, they're going to be great for picking up the Widow Mines. And MMA still doesn't even know this is coming. Like, he doesn't even know about the Phoenixes. So he may just blindly drop the Widow Mines and lose everything.
Okay, MMA is coming in here. Little does he know, though, that YongHwa's going to be more than ready. Here he comes now. He's going to try to drop over by the probes. The probes are being evacuated. He pulls out. Nice, picking up there on the Widow Mine. He needs to chase that. He needs to chase that medevac. Okay, this is going horribly right now for MMA.
He forced 1 pull and 1 kill on a probe, and that's it.
So that attack did not pay for itself. I mean, that was a huge loss. Oh,
he lost everything in that drop, and now he's going to desperately try to get up turret so he doesn't take too much damage from the Phoenixes. His stim is late. His bio pressure is not going to be as apparent in this game that early on. The one thing that he just have going for him is, I guess, YongHwa is going to have these Phoenixes in the sky instead of the earlier Colossi and the earlier Blink, but it's not really that big of a deal. YongHwa definitely in a better position right now.
And nice job just taking out those workers, mining the gas. And, man, I don't know if this is a good idea here. Oh, my God. Oh, that's so bad.
Yeah, he's going to force the drop. Yeah. Force him to drop out. Save the medevacs there.
Looks like he got on the left side of that, hoping that Terran would freak out and try to turn, but he held his ground there and actually drove him back.
Yeah.
If he gets him over that, that area where obviously you can't unload because there's there's nothing there, there's no ground there, then, I mean, I think we could have called this game over. So, MMA is still moving on the map despite all this. Now, he's got to be careful because, I mean, you can just shoot the medevac with the Phoenixes anyways, right? I mean, they're pretty nimble units.
Yeah. You got to be so careful about the positioning.
Yeah.
And what is this even going to do? Is he hoping to pressure the front? I mean, the Militia Corps has got a ton of energy.
That's what I'm confused about. I'm not sure what this is meant to accomplish. I mean, Protoss, first of all, well, we know for a fact Protoss is taking a third because there's 2 forges here. So it looks like he might want to go 1-1 with a timing attack. Blink has started for that upgrade. Excuse me, Thermal Lance has started as well. Oh, look at this. This is perfect. Because that army's out there, he just comes right in here. Unfortunately, Phoenixes don't deal damage that fast. God, MMA is just...
so close.
He is just not having a good series right now.
Yeah, not the best MMA I've ever seen.
YongHwa's had, there's been some hiccups here as well from YongHwa, but, I mean, realistically, if YongHwa keeps this up, he will win this series. It just... I can't see it not happening. I mean, when we saw the Phoenixes, look, he just kind of flies in there and he's like, I guess these units are not guarded.
I'm kind of interested in what YongHwa's doing here, too. He has the double forge. He's not using it. He's just making units right now. He has stopped probe production at 52. So you would think he would go for a third base. If you're not going to get a third base, you don't need this many probes.
Well, I think the real answer is he forgot to get the upgrade at his forges. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean... Unless he wants to hit a timing before that,
let me tell you something. There is no strategy where you make those buildings and you don't use them. Look at that. They're not...
Good point.
He didn't get it.
They're still just chilling.
Those are giant paperweights in his base.
Yeah. Big dump of 300 minerals.
Actually, I almost want to watch and see the facial expression. Okay, look, he just now knows, whoops, I didn't get weapons. Fat forges up here. All right, there's armor.
Yeah, that's like a minute delayed. To be honest, not the most high-level PvT I've ever seen.
Yeah, this has been a rough one.
No one will finally take
stress does get to these guys, though, Now, MMA is going to come over here and just try to open up the entrance to the main, destroy that ice that's there. And not clear. Does YongHwa... Okay, no, YongHwa knows. He's got his army there. He's ready. And with the Phoenixes back here, I think actually YongHwa should attack this. Yeah, he's going to do it. He's coming out. I think this is the right call.
Yeah, and
Because when the
MMA is
Phoenix
getting
is
out
there,
there.
when Phoenix is around, you can't really pick up.
It'll be very hard. Also, MMA is about to finish up 1-1, but his army is not the strongest. He's got to kind of group up here if he wants to go for a fight. Just trading a bit and then moving back.
And I think Protoss takes this all the way. I think he keeps pushing. He's just going to send these Phoenixes right over there and start hitting those medevacs. Guardian shields up. And you know what? I think YongHwa actually goes for the heart here. I think you just get right in there. No, excuse me, he's not going to do that. He's going to try to do a little bit safer right now and just get this base up here.
Not a bad idea. You push him back to the natural and then just force the lift on the third. Knock out that economy. YongHwa's about to have 1-1.
Yep.
And a very strong army with it.
I like what you said better, Valdez. I think you're right. With 1-1, it's just more important. There's no need.
At the same time.
Oh my God! Please.
Oh man.
What is happening?
Big
Way
blink,
out of
though,
position.
at the same time. He's going to save him.
Yeah.
Just barely.
YongHwa just got to keep his army together. He's got to keep an eye. You know, it's hard with the pathing because the Colossi can walk up and down cliffs where the Stalkers can't, so occasionally you end up where they're separated, but their relationship is pretty symbiotic. You need to make sure that you actually have them together or they're not strong. And he's going to come in here again. Guardian Shield coming down here, and it looks like he actually is just going to go up here. MMA backed up a little bit too far. Time warp down here.
It is so easy to just zone out that Terran army with the time warp on that ramp. Keep in mind that YongHwa is not taking the third base. He's looking to end this game right now. Another time warp going to come down.
God, that was one of the best time warps you've ever seen. Needs to just get these Colossus over here. SCVs are pulled up here now.
MMA looking to come from two sides. The Vikings taking out one of the Colossi. Another one does go down. And not much AoE left over here for YongHwa.
Really poorly controlled here by YongHwa. And with the last Colossus going down, that's going to be it. YongHwa is going to lose his army. He has to retreat. I don't think that had to look as bad as it did, but I mean, he just sort of backed up and let this big arc hit the Colossi. By the way, he also had the Colossi hitting the wrong side. The big army was over there in the upper left. He should have targeted that down there. And I think YongHwa's, yep, that's it, GG.
GG.
All right, MMA now up 2-1. It's been a bumpy series.
This has been such a strange series, man, to be totally frank. YongHwa's just refusal to take a third base is, something I rarely ever see.
The stress is mounting right now. YongHwa has to win the next game and then the one after that, or he's out. And we'll have to wait until next year to qualify for the GSL Code S. We see Coach Choya going in there now, trying to give some encouraging words, although, I mean, the way the series has panned out so far, you gotta say that, I don't know, man. YongHwa getting that 1-1, by the way, late. Remember we look back at that game. There was a point where he could have maybe tried to attack into the second base, right? And if he gets in there, if he wins that fight, it's pretty much over. 1-1 finishes like 20 seconds later.
Yeah.
If he had 1-1 then, maybe it'd be a different story.
He may have just been able to end the game.
Yeah.
And maybe that was what he was trying to do.
I mean,
but just
we'll never know, but
obvious nerves coming into YongHwa's play tonight.
Yeah, well, he's got a short break to calm down and try to come back. We're going to take that short break right now, so stay tuned here at the GSL Code S, or Code A.